What's up and good morning, guys. Welcome back to another video. Oh geez, we got the alarm peacock going. Everybody's excited this morning. I am not excited for a couple of reasons. Number one, we lost the biggest tree on our property, which I'll show you guys in a second. Number two, we're going to be working around a lot of trees today. And well, we've had quite the snake year so far. I honestly don't even like standing where I'm standing, but we got some pants on, which I hate wearing, and we've got some boots because your boy ain't trying to get bit by a rattlesnake today. We're gonna fire up the Mini X, but I let the homie Jesse borrow this thing the other day, and he just brought it back yesterday. And look at this, man. Jesse, I don't know how he got in here. He must have had a towel on the floor mat because there are no footprints in here. But Jesse fully detailed the excavator for me. If you guys ever want to borrow equipment, you know, bring it back nicer than you got it, that's for sure. Jesse did a phenomenal job. We can't have these though, because scented stuff like this gives me an instant headache. And speaking of headache, we're gonna be working on a lot of trees today, and my allergies are already killing me from doing all of the mowing around the property. I think the Coyote tractor cab seals pretty well, but just not quite well enough. And I know, Jim Bob, I know you're watching this, and I know your mom's decision to not breastfeed you and instead start you on a regimen of Mountain Dew from birth granted you some type of superpowers to where allergies don't affect you, but for some of us, allergies will knock you on your butt, man, whether you want it or not. So I know real men, you know, don't let it affect them, but some of us, there's not much we can do. Alrighty, so we'll get the Mini X warmed up. We're gonna be using a lot of tools today. We got the Mini X, the chainsaws, we gotta get the dump truck, but let me go show you what's going on with the dump truck. And as of now, the carport area, well, around the carport has been the most snake infested, which makes sense because that's where I'm storing all of this junk. Sorry, Derek. The other day, Abel found 3 babies, 2 he was able to get, the third one got away, and then the next day, when he was weed whacking back over here, we believe it was the mom, the dad, whatever. It was about a 5-footer, and that got away before he can get his shovel. So this area, pretty heavily snaked. And then when I was on the mower the other day, I ended up chopping up 2 of them with the mower. So already, you know, that mower on the Coyote just earned its keep right there. I think all in all, in a week and a half, there have been 8 rattlesnakes. Since we've moved here, it's almost been 4 years, I have found at the most 1 a year, maybe 2. We have found 8 so far. This is gonna be a pretty wild year. So in an effort to combat that, we've been just anything trash that we could find on the property. I mean, all of this is like from the previous owner, and it's all stuff that you didn't see because it was like buried in brush and stuff. But Papa Rhino picked all this up in the dump truck. The problem is we don't have any dumpster space to put it in right now. So we're just gonna have to dump this next to the dumpster and which is just gonna create another snake pit. Slowly put this into the dumpster as we make room. Now, my neighbor did get on me the other day, and he's like, man, you've been checking the oil on that old truck? And I'm like, well, you must not know me very well. I currently have not. So we should check the oil on this thing. Where the heck is it? Were there dipsticks in the 60s, or do you just pull off the oil cap and look? Y'all see oil in there? I don't see a dipstick. Am I crazy for not knowing if there were dipsticks in the 60s? I mean, wouldn't that make sense? I don't see anything. Check out this custom little thing that he made though for this return spring. Look at that, out of some copper wire. Like, that's pretty slick right there. Yeah, I don't know, guys. So we're just gonna send it and hope for the best. Fire her up. Okay, I decided it would be a bad idea just to put this on the ground, especially considering the dumpster is so close to the house. So instead, we're going to just fill the dump trailer with it. That way, I might end up just doing a dump run instead of having to like wait to try to figure out and cut all this, especially this freaking fencing, cut it up into little bits to put into the dumpster. It's probably easier just to do a dump run. So we're gonna fill this with the dump trailer. If I do change my mind, I can just dump it next to the dumpster later, but at least this will keep it from becoming a snake house. You know, it didn't really look like that much stuff, but once you kind of spread it out in the trailer, that's a good amount of stuff there. Look at that tight gap right there, guys. We squeezed her up as close as we could to that trailer. Alrighty, so we're going to be using the dump truck today to haul all of the stuff that we trim over to the burn pile. That'll eventually get burned one of these years. Papa Rhino is on his way. I was hoping he'd be here earlier, because now I gotta drive us all the way to the tree we're working on, walk all the way back, grab the Mini X. Having an extra person to drive and we do the flip-flop makes it a lot easier. Now, if you guys can't tell, we're basically on a fire prevention kick right now. This is the time of year to do it. We've mowed pretty much anything within, you know, 500, 600, 700 feet of the house. Now we're addressing the trees. So with trees, you can see like that one right there, where that tree practically touches the ground, those limbs do. If a fire were to come through here on this low-lying grass, stuff like that, obviously the fire's not gonna get too big because this grass is only, I don't know, about that tall. But if you have limbs and stuff like that that are really close to the ground, the fire will chase up those and then you eventually burn the whole tree and you get this ginormous ball of fire. We don't want that. So typically the animals are pretty good at keeping a lot of the trees trimmed about as high as they can reach. What you can see is probably about that high. You can see all of these branches down here are pretty bare. That's because the animals come in here and, you know, the donkeys and stuff, they could probably reach a little bit higher, probably to here, but there's so many trees for them to eat on that not all of them are gonna get trimmed to donkey height. So that's where we gotta come in. So we're going to, I guess, start right here. We're gonna trim all of the limbs up, which is, you know, the trees need a good trimming anyway. They're getting very, very thick and bushy. This one happens to be where this little playground setup is. Might actually be the first time it's kind of opened up and exposed. These trees have grown a lot since we first moved in. This was already here and existing. You can see, let's see, that I bet that tire was not on the ground in the OG days, but we've never really cleaned this area up. So we're using the Milwaukee pole saw, which is great if you guys don't have one. I'm just waiting for Harbor Freight to make one because I bet they'll make a better one. So we're using the Milwaukee pole saw to trim all the trees. We've got a gas powered chainsaw out here as well. We might have to go to my neighbor's to borrow. I think he's got like a 4-foot chainsaw. Trust me, when I show you guys the big tree that fell down, man, it is, the thing is pretty dang massive. So first things first though, I'm gonna go walk back up to the house, grab the Mini X so we can start piling this into the dump truck. We'll then make trips to the burn pile and it should be a very productive day. Thankfully right now it's not too hot, but I have a feeling it's gonna get pretty toasty. Ooh, I feel bad even making footprints in this thing. Jesse did such a good job cleaning it. Now, not only did Jesse do me a favor, but I think he did the channel a favor by cleaning these windows, because you guys can probably see now when I'm actually working inside the cab. Now remember I said, guys, Excavator, one of the best decisions and best purchases I made for the ranch. And yeah, reasons like this is why, especially with that thumb attachment. The Excavator does all the heavy lifting and the dirty work. You get to sit in the nice air-conditioned cab. So we'll load this on up. Oh, we missed a little bit there with that stick. There we go, just use the thumb to kind of mush her in. Perfect. Now I did buy a grapple for my tractor. You guys probably remember when I first bought that thing, but man, I don't know if it's just the design of the grapple or what. I suck at using it. I am so much faster with the Excavator and the thumb. The reason I bought the grapple for the tractor was my thought was I was going to eliminate this, and I didn't actually have the dump truck at the time, but basically I was going to be able to come up to these piles, grab it with the tractor, throw the tractor in a higher gear, go all the way down to the burn pile, dump it, and come back, and just basically make trips in the tractor. Problem is that thing drops so much stuff, and it just like, it's almost like a claw machine that, you know, you pick up the teddy bear perfectly and it just has no strength and drops it. So again, I don't know if it's in the design of the grapple, if it's the way the grapple is shaped and not having like the square bottom with the top that comes down and the whole thing kind of does this, if that's like the issue. Not 100% sure, but I was dropping a bunch of stuff in the field, which I don't want to do because that makes it a nightmare when you go to mow the field. So we stick with the Excavator, and I've got a grapple that's just sitting. If anybody's interested and wants to buy the grapple, I will gladly sell it to you because I don't use it. Now, I don't know for sure if we were too late this year for burn permits. We probably are. If not, we're very close to being too late, so we're probably not going to burn this stuff this year. But that's okay. We store it way far away from the house. So if it ends up burning, you know, it just does us a favor. Well, we managed to get this entire tree cut and loaded in one load. If we can keep this to like one load per tree, I think we're going to do pretty good today. And Paparano's on his way out here, so hopefully we get a 3-man crew growing and we should be able to knock some stuff out pretty quick. So the GoPro's not too happy today. I tried to do a time lapse of this tree starting to get cut, but it's too hot for the GoPros. But this tree right here, I mean, this is a big old tree. Still nowhere near the biggest one that fell on the property. And good amount of trimming here. I just tried to fire up our gas chainsaw and for some reason it won't stay running. I don't have the patience for that kind of stuff. That's Papa Rhino's world. So once he gets out here, he'll fix it, because we got some limbs like this where yes, the Milwaukee pole saw will go through, but it's a lot quicker going through it with the chainsaw. Awesome shade in here though. But again, we just need to get it higher up off the ground. So this tree will still have the same spread. We're just cleaning up all of these low dangly boogers right here, which could take the fire up into the tree and essentially cause a really big fire. I ran and grabbed the Coyote tractor because some of these are just too tall, even with the double extensions on the pole saw. It's just too far to reach. So we're gonna bring Abel up now. We've got a pallet on there for him to stand on, and should make it easier for him to reach some of these higher branches. Now, of course, y'all, Papa Rhino shows up, fires up the chainsaw, first pull, the thing's running. I mean, he's running wide open right now to clear it out, because, you know, these two-stroke engines, when they sit. Man, we're dropping a lot off of this bad boy. We are loading the crap out of this truck. This is some Beverly Hillbillies going on right here, but as long as I stack it pretty good, the truck holds it and we don't lose it on the way, so that's always a good thing. We're probably gonna be doubling the size of our burn pile though. Obviously, the longer we leave stuff sit over there, the more it biodegrades, all the leaves and stuff come off, and it just compresses to a bunch of like sticks and twigs and stumps. So the pile used to be, I mean, shoot, probably 15 feet tall or so, and now it's probably 5 feet tall. Now up in this section, I have not hit with the mower. You can see I mowed that side, but not that side. And it's a little rough right here. Well, I was trying to figure out exactly, you know, where I need to turn to basically cut a full width with the mower. But we got to cut all of that underbrush right there before I think any of us are going to want to walk in there. I may have gotten a little overzealous on this load. Look at how I didn't break that mirror. I have no idea, because I was loading it from the back and from the other side, but yeah, so this tree over here had this giant limb that fell off, and I was able to break it up into a couple of pieces. And I don't know, guys, what do you think? You think we're getting a little wild here with this load? We're sticking out there at least 10 feet or so. If we don't catch anything, we'll be okay. It's a pretty clear shot there. We'll have to dodge this tree a little bit, but up in here there was a lot of broken old growth that fell off of this tree. I mean, look at how much better the trees look. I mean, we've trimmed that one, that one, that one so far, and it just looks so much nicer, so much more beautiful than say like down there where they look all raggedy and need a haircut. So it's a little tight of a squeeze to get in. Let's see if we can finagle through the door. I hope when we go to dump this, it does not hook the mirror and take the mirror with it when it all slides out. But that's, yeah, that's pretty close. That side, same thing. I'm having to drive like off the road because I don't want to catch any of the trees along the side of the road. Oh, don't damage my mirror. I'm gonna hold this branch off the mirror a little bit. I have no idea if we're dropping stuff along the way, but I think we're doing all right. So there's a big log pile I'm trying to avoid, but I can't see anything out of these mirrors with some trees hanging off of them. Oh, we dodged it. We're good. We're good. Alrighty, wish me luck, guys. We gotta not lose an arm. Not lose a mirror slowly. Alright, we're good. We dodged it. Now hopefully it all slides off. The amazing thing is we dropped nothing on that whole trip. I'm shocked by that. I thought for sure we'd lose some stuff. Back in the tractor, we're gonna open this area up before any of us come in here, like I said earlier. So we're just chopping her down with the flail mower. And then we're gonna extend it out. I'm gonna reach up underneath as far as I can on these trees. And then we'll probably do a little bit of weed whacking after that before we again really start stepping foot in there. Because hopefully we're pushing all the snakes further away from the house, you know? That's the goal here. Reach up underneath this tree. I think we're actually gonna be able to get pretty far. See, there's a lot of stuff growing up underneath this one. could practically drive up underneath here. So for that big old branch right there, I was trying to grab it with the Mini X, and I'm confident the Mini X can handle the weight of it. It's just the thumb attachment, it kept slipping. It's a very, very weird shape, so it slips off. So we're just gonna use the forks on the Coyote, see if we can pick this old girl up. Shouldn't be too heavy. It's been off the tree for a while. There we go. No problemo. Alrighty, we'll dump this in the pile of bigger stuff. Hey. It stayed better than I thought. So you can see the brush pile. Let's see, that's the stuff we just brought over. There's the new stuff there, and it's a pretty good spot. It's probably about from there to there 100 or so feet by probably about 40 feet. Plus we got this pile over here of all the big stuff. We've got all of this area looking good though now that it is all mowed down. Honestly, it took a little longer than I thought it would, but I went right along the little ravine that runs through the property, and so I basically had the tractor down in there. It got a little sketchy, you know, definitely put the seatbelt on for that one. But she's mowed, looking good. Now again, I think the mistake I made was letting this get too long, so now when I mow it, all the dead stuff sits on top and dries out, and it makes everything look way yellower than it would if I were to have mowed it, you know, consistently and kept it short. So you can see like all that area I mowed a couple of days ago, all the stuff on top that's pretty long is now dying and making everything look yellow. This big old branch ended up getting stuck, so it's got a little bit of a knob sticking off of it that at first it caught right on that little spill board. I don't know what the exact terminology for that is. I got it off of that, then it caught on that, and I couldn't just push it off to the side because it would have hit the mirrors or the cab. So I've got it in the up position. I was about to climb up there, but I just saw Paparano coming over here with a load with the Mini X, so we'll just have him reach up there and yoink that bad boy off. You can probably hear it on the camera now, but the breeze is picking up, and man, while it is a hot day today, once these trees are cleared out and the breeze can actually pass up underneath them, you get some nice shade up under here, and pretty cool place to hang out. I mean, I guess pick your tree that you want to hang out under because there's a lot of them. So we've got a pretty good system down. Again, I went around with the tractor, basically what I could reach, and then we go underneath it with the weed whacker. That way, again, hopefully the tractor scared any of the snakes away. At least by weed whacking it, that'll also scare them away, slash maybe hit them with a weed whacker, I don't know. But once that's clear and safe, then we can go in with the chainsaw and kind of start cutting everything down. Y'all can see in years past, some pretty mighty trees have fallen. I'm assuming at one point this one was just dropping so much stuff, or it just completely dropped a bunch of its branches. I mean, it looks like it was cut. So this one didn't fall over, but I imagine a bunch of branches like this fell off of it and they eventually got sick of that. So they chopped the thing down before the whole thing went over. It's almost become like coral reef for the wildlife out here. You can see there's a million little holes up underneath it. I just saw a couple of rabbits under here a second ago. And I really don't have a machine big enough to move this. I bet that log is very dense and very heavy, even after drying out for, you know, who knows how many years out here. But I'm not gonna be able to move that. So we're gonna leave it out here. And it looks kind of cool, you know, it kind of breaks up the monotony of just field. You get this, and it makes a great perch. Use some slingshots, you know, to eliminate coyotes or whatever you're out slingshotting for the day. So now this one is two trees right next to each other. They'll probably appreciate being separated a little bit, having a little more room to breathe. So this monster over here will give you a better idea of what these massive trees look like. I mean, this thing is huge. It's probably, what do we call that, about 20, probably about 60 feet tall by, shoot, maybe 80 feet wide. And then look at when these branches fall off. We're not talking little twigs over here. We are talking, you know, dang near a regular sized tree that falls off of these things. This one hasn't lost too many. This one's actually in very good shape. So out here we have what is called the bark beetle. Oh, and there goes a rabbit right there. While I personally don't have a lot of experience with them, if you watch my neighbor James's video, he actually did a whole video on this, on how the bark beetle like decimated a lot of oak trees on the other side of our valley. And I imagine that's what happened to some of these trees. My neighbor actually across the street, he spends a couple $1,000s a year to spray all of his trees to try to prevent the bark beetle. Now this is all secondhand information, so you know, don't quote me on this, but apparently there's two types. There's the Mexican bark beetle, and then there is the Arizonian bark beetle, and he actually had the larva tested on one of his trees. It turns out we have the Arizonian type, which if you have the Mexican bark beetle type, I guess the government will help to fund you getting rid of it, but if you have the Arizona type, you're kind of out of luck. So of course we have the Arizonian bark beetle. And again, what he told me was apparently they go for the biggest trees first. Now you can see, I mean, there was something big that fell off of there at one point. So apparently they attack the biggest trees first, and I guess they go from the ground up instead of some other stuff that attacks from the top down. Now let's take you over to the tree that we lost most recently. And man, it's not really trimmed up underneath. So I don't know how close I'm gonna get to this thing. I don't feel like bushwhacking with some snakes, but this was at one point, I think the biggest in terms of like width tree that was on the property. And that is this monster right here. Now this tree has obviously been dead since we've been here, and it's always been the one that scares me. So we came and did a big cleanup of this whole area a couple of years ago, and there were just so many big limbs that had fallen off of this thing. That's actually what started the burn pile right behind me, was cleaning up this area. And I was always scared working underneath this thing that this thing was just gonna come down right on top of it. And well, the other day James called me, he's like, hey man, did you hear that? I'm like, I don't know, hear what? He's like, you didn't hear that? And at the time I was in the tractor mowing, and I'm like, no, all I hear is mowing. And he's like, a tree just fell. I'm like, well, where? He's like, I don't know, but you can't mistake the sound of a tree falling. So if anybody's wondering, if a tree falls and nobody's around, James will hear it. So James went looking, and then he eventually ended up on my property, came over and got me. He's like, oh, looks like it was your tree that fell. And sure enough, this monster has finally fallen, which is good and bad. I mean, it was cool because it did provide some shade for this area, but it was just inevitable that it was gonna happen, and I'm glad it happened when nobody was around. Alrighty guys, I'm venturing over here. If I get bit by a snake, you know, at least it's on camera. Hopefully, you know, we get some good views out of it. All right. Oh man. I mean, good news is, I mean, not like I can move this anyway, but good news is it didn't leave a big stump sticking out of the ground. It just like clearly about 1 foot to 2 below surface just completely broke off. And you know, it actually wasn't a very windy day, which again is kind of crazy that this thing just went over, but it was just had its time. It did fall on a good tree right there. I don't know, I think it's tangled up in it. I don't think it quite knocked that tree down. You can see all these little fingerling ones all up around this area. It fell on one of those. I don't know what bark beetle looks like, but I'm assuming that's what all these little holes are in the stump here. And well, the old girl put in a solid life. If you're into the old naturey stuff, let's just take a second to appreciate the sounds. You got the birds chirping, shady, nice breeze. I guess it really is the simpler things in life, you know? I'm gonna start hosting some goat yoga. I feel like this area right here, I just need a lot more goats and somebody that knows how to do yoga, because that ain't me. Well guys, I saw something shiny in the background here, and I noticed we do have a snake. However, this guy right here, he looks like a helpful snake. So we're gonna let him live. There ain't no rattle there. He don't look dangerous. I'm assuming that's a gopher snake or some type of friendly snake. I don't know why he's trying to turn back on me though. We don't need that guy. You just keep going. You get to live. Good snakes get to live, bad snakes die. Alrighty guys, well Abel just yelled at me to come over there. He claims he found another rattlesnake, and it was kind of in the direction my other snake was going, and he's like over there hacking at something with the weed whacker, and I'm like, man, I hope that's not my good snake. And he kept pointing at it. I didn't see it. I don't even think he saw it. But he's like, no, there's a snake right there. There's a snake right there. And I'm like, man, I don't like that I'm standing here and I can't see the snake. It's like, Abel, was it big? And he said, no, it was small. So I'm hoping that doesn't mean it's my snake. And apparently he has the mouse that was in its mouth, which I did see the mouse. That did look like something was trying to eat it. But I don't see the snake. Pero tiene de rata in the...
No, de rata es aquí.
Pero it was in the boca de the snake or no?
Ella tiene de boca, pero sácale rápido. El rato es aquí.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
See? It was rattlesnake? Chico? Un baby? Medio? No sé. Oh, tiene... So, ¿tiene de rattle?
No, es chico. Ella lo va a explicar así.
Pero cuando es ¿tú escuchas?
Es chico.
Pero tiene.
Tiene.
Okay. Well, while Abel is on the hunt for that snake, we're gonna move some of these other big logs that fell off. You know, the Mini X has some strength to her, guys. That thing's dense. No problem for the Mini X. Alrighty, well now we've got Papa Rhino up on the pallet. just totally spacing out, not paying attention to what he's cutting. And this big monster right here has a big old branch coming off it. We decided we should probably take off half of that, or I guess a third of it or so, just to eliminate any risks of this thing coming down on its own. This tree, this half looks healthy, but you can see at some point, you know, some big stuff is falling off of it. He's almost through. I hope it doesn't hit our forks. I hope the forks are back far enough, but I can't tell. He's the only one up there that can tell. He hasn't told me to back up, but oh, there it goes. Let it go. Oh, now he tells me to back up. All right, well, we hit the forks a little bit. Looks like the animals are already stoked that the trees are trimmed. Look at this. We got Bubs, the baby goat. We got Willie hiding right there behind the tree. Everybody's using this to scratch themselves. You guys enjoying this? Yeah? What's up, baby goat? What's up, baby goat? Hi. Willie, how you doing, buddy? You even got Big Walt over here. What's up, Willie? How you doing, buddy?
Oh, you're a good boy. Oh, thank you. Oh, I know, thank you.
Now we've migrated from cleaning the trees up to, that blade is shot. This is one of the trees that fell during the last storm. That fell a couple of storms prior, but it kind of blocked one of the little roads here and it's keeping me from going around the property and cleaning. So far today we have found 2 baby rattlers. That brings us up to, what, 10 or 11 so far, and now I think we're at a 2.5 week span. That's pretty wild. I'm going from seeing like 1 a year to 11 in 2.5 weeks. Time to move. So we've got this log propped up. Rhino's gonna cut it into sections. He's already kind of been going ham over here while I was working on another part of the property. He's got the truck loaded up. All right, we'll get these logs loaded up. So these trees, I think, died in the fire. That one as well. You can see that one, I believe, also died in the fire. Alrighty guys, well, yeah, I think we got one more day in us, but I think we're gonna wrap up this video in terms of tree trimming. But just look how nice this area looked. Again, I think if I mowed it earlier, we would have less of the dead stuff on top, which is like hiding the green underneath. It will all dry out this summer. This will be dead and brown and yellow and probably dirt, not really sure. We haven't seen what it's like without the fire, right? We moved in, there was immediately the fire, destroyed everything, and it took a few years for the vegetation to come back. And we're finally at that first year, I think, of like fully having vegetation going into summertime. So we shall see. But man, this area just looks so much bigger with it all mowed, the trees trimmed. I mean, it's a beautiful park-like setting now. What's cool is these trees, obviously, like, they're massive, right? They don't grow back that quick, at least not the parts that we have to trim. So we did those driveway trees last year, and those don't need to be trimmed again this year. I remember a tree guy was gonna charge me about 200 something bucks a tree. So that's a lot of trees right there. And then he ended up not showing up, and we're like, ah, screw it, we'll go do it. And then we realized it was like 15 minutes a tree, and I'm like, man, I almost paid that guy a lot of money for something that we can knock out pretty dang quickly. I'm excited that the mower is working as good as it is. I think now that we have a mower, we're gonna get a better handle on things earlier in the season than we did this year, and everything should look greener and nicer for longer. Like, we got all the donkeys over here. They've been investigating our pile. This is our burn pile. I mean, shoot, this thing has grown quite a bit from those trees. It's a lot of work owning this much property, but man, when you get it looking good, you know, I think it's worth it. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not subscribed already, please click the subscribe button now that we do not miss out on any future content. Don't forget to give this video a like, a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out workforapparel.com, because if there's anything you want in this life, you gotta be willing to work for it. You guys are the best. I'm out.
Damn. Yeah.